Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining our show again this week. We're very happy that there are people like you out there that are interested in the issues that are happening in our cities. And now we're in election season. So for the next couple months, for September and October, we're going to be talking to a number of candidates from the cities that have elections this year. 8 of our 9 cities have elections. Where there are candidates that have someone running against them, we contacted all of them, and we've got most of them coming in to share their thoughts and their ideas with you, to tell you a little bit about themselves and talk about city issues. So we'd like you to start now, getting ready to be able to make an educated vote about the city councils and mayors in your area. We will be putting up people's names and emails and phone numbers, so if they're in your city and you've got questions or concerns or you'd like to share ideas with them, be sure to reach out. Now, I'm very happy to welcome tonight Lisa Jacobson, who is here from Brooklyn Park. I was almost saying, I got my notes. From Brooklyn Park, running for the city council. And you're from which area?
I'm from the East District.
Okay, East District, because I knew you had districts. And then Adam Bedard from Maple Grove. And you run for your whole city at large, right?
Yep.
And Therese Kiser from Section 1 in Crystal. So we'll take some time and we'll go one by one. And like I said, if it's from your city, take down their name and phone number and share your ideas with them. We'll start out with Lisa Jacobson from Brooklyn Park. And we're glad to have you with us. You were telling me earlier that this is your first time running for the city council.
It is absolutely my first time.
So I had asked you to think ahead of time about your background, your experiences, and then how it helps you or how it will help you to be a city council member.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in the northwest suburbs in Robbinsdale, actually, and have moved to Brooklyn Park about 30 years ago. And I know I only look 30, but I've been here about 30 years and have been actively involved pretty much the whole time that I have lived here. And that, can mean many things. I was involved in my kids' schools. They're both now grown and off being adults, and but active in their activities. But I was involved in a lot of civic groups, the Brooklyn Park Women of Today, Brooklyn Park Community Organization, chair of the Brooklyn Park Community Foundation. I also served for a length of time on the Parks Commission and am now a planning commissioner and learning a lot about our development, a lot of our codes and districts and in planning and things like that. I always said that I would run for council when my kids were older, and of course they are. So now is the time, I believe, when I can step up to the plate and run for this seat.
Right.
And I feel because I have been actively involved, I know a variety of people, different communities within our community. We are a very diverse community, and I have worked with and on behalf of our communities of color for many years, and have great relationships, and am ready to continue on in this way.
Oh, well then you've got a lot to prepare you, right?
Yes.
Now, I asked you to go through a list of issues, and also another one would be if there's a particular issue in your city. So I won't force you to pick the most important, but picking one of those 3 issues, why don't you tell us what about the issue, what's involved, and then what you'd like to see done?
Yeah, I think for me, the most important thing is the people of Brooklyn Park. And there are many issues that surround different people. I really support and am concerned about our working families, our youth, but also our seniors. We soon are going to have more seniors in Brooklyn Park than youth.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we have enough housing options and enough, programs and things built into our city that will be there to help and address their concerns at every phase of life. Working family is important to me as we start to talk about livable wages and minimum wages. I know that my friends from the West African community, which we actually have more West Africans in Brooklyn Park than any other place in the world outside of West Africa. And I know that for many of them, they don't want government assistance. They would rather go and get a second and a third job than accept any kind of help. But then their kids are home alone. And so how do we work to kind of help them maybe find a more livable wage job within our community where maybe they only have to have 1 or 2 jobs and they're home more with their kids. The kids will benefit, the whole community will benefit, and so that is one issue that I'm hoping to work just with all the people of Brooklyn Park and make sure that all kind of facets of people have what they need to live the best life they can.
Okay, and then from the other issues, maybe you can speak about another one.
Absolutely. We have light rail coming to Brooklyn Park very soon.
Right.
And whether people were for or against light rail, it's coming.
Right.
And so I want to ensure, if I'm elected to the city council, that we don't end up spending any money that we weren't initially signing up to spend. But also that our station area planning really reflects our community. You know, I don't necessarily want to see the station areas look like the ones maybe in Minneapolis or in St. Paul. I want them to be reflective of our community and our people and our diverse community. And so that's very important to me and something that I will really work hard to ensure.
Yeah, that has been an area that's got a lot of news, and eventually it's going to pop up to the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an important one for people to know where you're coming from and what you'd like to see happen in that area. And then, did you have another issue?
Absolutely. So fiscal responsibility is important to me. By day, I'm an executive director of a nonprofit where I have to be a great steward of my donors' dollars. And I feel the same way about our taxpayer dollars. We have to be good stewards as council members when we're making decisions around which city services we will keep and expand, and you know, to keep the tax level at a pace that our residents can afford at all places of their lives. And so, you know, I want to keep a good balance, keep those things in check as we go along, and you know, make sure that we are meeting the needs of our residents. And you know, maybe those needs have changed, especially in the areas where we're going to be redeveloping. You know, and we look at the codes of what fits into those areas. Maybe that has changed, and we need to kind of re-look at those areas and as we redevelop them. But again, making sure that we don't raise taxes to a point where we can't afford those services.
Yeah, that's been an important one that all our cities have been struggling with.
Yes.
How to provide the services people want at the price that is affordable for most people.
And you know, we've come a long way. I used to work for the city years ago with a program called Come Home to the Park, when we had a very bad kind of image out in the community outside of Brooklyn Park, where my job was to shine the light on the good things and the good people of Brooklyn Park. And you know, that was an important kind of community relations work that we did. But what's fun to watch is how much the community has changed even since then, and how now, you know, our crime rate is at a 30-year low. I want to make sure that we have great relationships continuing with our law enforcement, with our public safety officials and our residents and our new residents, you know, people that are coming here from West Africa. I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page about, you know, law enforcement, and so that we don't end up having, you know, a situation like they've had in some other communities around our country lately.
And then I want to be sure to give you time so that you can tell the people out in Brooklyn Park in your area why they should vote for you come November 8th. When they go in the voting booth, why check your name?
Absolutely. So I'm running for city council because I care about the people of Brooklyn Park, period. I am running by myself, basically. This is a nonpartisan race, and I'm happy to keep it that way. I will work hard. I'm a hard worker. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. And anybody who knows me knows that to be true. I'm very committed, dedicated. I'm a leader in this community, and I'm not making any of it up just to get elected. And so my track record, you know, is one of hard work and solid change that I have helped make in our community, and I would continue to do that on the city council as well.
Good, thank you very much. And remember, I hope that you took down her, if you live in Brooklyn Park, in section?
In the East District.
East District, that you took her phone number and her email down, and be in contact, because it helps candidates to hear from people out there.
I love hearing from people.
Now we'll switch over to Adam Bedard, who's from Maple Grove. And we'll let you start out with your background and kind of how it's prepared you to run for your city council.
Sure. So I moved down here 2.5 years ago with my wife, Misty. We have a beautiful child on the way.
Ah.
We love the Maple Grove area. I have family that have actually lived in the area since it was farming community. So to see it progress a little bit over time, I think it's headed in a good direction, and I want to continue to be a part of that. I've been heavily involved in the community, so I'm a Maple Grove Lions member. I also serve as the vice president of the Maple Grove Community Organization, who puts on Maple Grove Days.
Right.
Formerly a member of the Arbor Committee that reported up to the City Council, and I'm currently now on the Citizens Advisory Committee that reports up to the City Council. So we do a lot to have interactions with the community. And then just on a personal level too, my wife and I, we enjoy the parks and the trails and the Central Park. We enjoy a lot of outdoor activities and the convenience of all the different shops that Maple Grove has.
Oh, right, definitely.
Beyond that, my current work role, I work as a senior financial analyst for a Fortune 500 company. So I have that background that I think will serve me well when it comes to budgeting and being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars.
So you're well prepared too, right?
I'm well prepared.
And then we were talking earlier, this is your second run at the City Council, right?
So when I moved down here initially, I wanted to get involved in the community in a few different ways that I did that. Again, becoming a Lions member, being involved with Maple Grove Days, but then also running for election, not necessarily to win at that point, but to get my name out there in hopes that an opportunity like this would come about where there's an open seat. So there is at this time, and that's what I'm going to be doing, is out there door knocking. I won't be able to reach everybody because it's an at-large
not in Maple Grove.
Population of 65,000 plus. That's a lot of people. But I'll try to reach as many people as I can, and just open to hearing their issues, concerns, thoughts, and opinions. I value those.
Okay, then we'll move on to the issues that you picked. One of the issues that you thought about ahead of time. Why don't you tell us about the issue and then kind of what you'd like to see happen in Maple Grove?
Sure. So I think one of the big things that you always hear when you're outdoor knocking is taxes and being fiscally responsible with taxpayers' dollars. Maple Grove right now is proposing a levy of 2.9%, which compared to a lot of the other cities around us is really good. You look at cities like Plymouth is in the 5% range, Edina is 5 to 6%. And for us being a growing community, so we're still developing, we have another 20 plus years to develop and grow. So we got the 610 highway that's going to be completed. That's going to bring in more businesses. The gravel mining area, specifically by Elm Creek Boulevard and Hemlock Lane, is developing. So for us to keep taxes at that 2.9% levy that is going to be recommended, I think is commendable of the city for being conservative with the budget. And that's something that I want to see continue as well as we go forward, to keep those taxes low for our residents.
Yeah, because it's probably one of the major things that you hear about people. And somebody had said once, I think that people are somewhat concerned about the dollar amount, but that it's spent wisely, that you do good things with the money that they pay in taxes. Now, another issue.
So we could talk a lot about other issues, everything ranging from, keep maintaining the water quality that we have with our lakes to, public safety. But I think some of the big things that citizens are going to see within the next couple of years that are going to impact them most is the gravel mining area and that development.
Oh, yes.
So on the area of Hemlock and Hemlock and Elm Creek Boulevard, thank you.
I think.
So in that area, there's some development, construction going on. People may have seen that. What I would like to see happen there, and I think the City Council would be on board with this too, is develop that area into more of corporate business organization facilities. It benefits the city because if you can bring corporations into your community, the taxes will benefit the city from that. The citizens benefit from it because you have high quality jobs that you're able to provide so people can work and live in the city. So often we wind up traveling outside of where we live to work. And then the corporations themselves benefit too, because one of the biggest things that they look at besides taxes is how close to major highway and arteries, intersections are you. And just a couple blocks away, you have 494 and 94 right there. So I think that that is something that we're going to see impact the community. I think if we can push towards bringing those high quality opportunities to the community, it's going to be beneficial all around for everyone.
Oh, definitely. And Maple Grove has had relatively good luck in attracting corporations.
Yes,
right?
we have. So we'll keep on that.
So you can follow along on that same area, right?
Yep.
And then did you have another issue?
Then beyond that, I think the other thing that we need to do is complete the Highway 610 project. That's going to offer a very convenient thoroughfare right onto 94 there.
Right.
It's going to become a major traffic through area as well. Traffic flow, congestion, transportation is another thing that I hear when I'm door knocking. As we grow as a city, how do we deal with that? So that's one step I think to take to help with that. Beyond that, I think once that is complete, it also develops then the opportunities for businesses to come in along there as that thoroughfare develops. And so that should be hopefully completed this fall, the majority of it, maybe a little bit in the spring, but I think that's going to provide another just great opportunity for high quality jobs.
Yeah, I know we've been having a show about the cities for 11 years now, and we've been talking about that issue all that whole period of time.
It's taken a long time, but we're almost there.
Yeah, it's almost there. Well, maybe you could share some of the things that you've learned from people as you door knock.
Sure. Some of the things that I've learned, people definitely want to make sure that as we grow as a community, we're definitely thinking about how do we continue to preserve the natural resources we have. So I am very for that. My wife and I, we love being outdoors. Right. So parks, trails, recreational activities are important. Maintaining the water quality in the lakes. So when I've gone and door knocked around those areas, which frequently have associations related to each lake, they just want to make sure that we continue to balance that and invasive species.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because I want to give you time enough to say why the people of Maple Grove should vote for you on November 8th.
You should vote for me because I am a senior financial analyst. I have been heavily involved in the community from Maple Grove Lions to Maple Grove Days. I serve on a committee that reports up to the council right now. But in all honesty, none of that matters if you don't have a council member who's there to listen to you. And so I'm here to listen to you as citizens. I value your thoughts, opinions, ideas. I welcome you to call me, visit my website, get in touch with me so we can continue to make this a wonderful city to live in.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. Now we'll move to Therese Kiser, Section 1 of Crystal.
Right.
And we'll let you introduce yourself out to our wider audience and then tell them how your background helps prepare you to be on your council.
I'm Therese Kiser. I have lived in Crystal for 23 years. My last move was 4 blocks, and I've been in that house for 18 years. So Crystal has been is my home. I've raised my children there. I'm originally from Davenport, Iowa. I've been in Minnesota since my college days, which is a few years now. Crystal is a great place. I want it to continue to be a great place, and I've been very involved in the community. I was a volunteer at the Annex for 15 years. By trade, I'm a paralegal. I do mostly divorce work. I served as a guardian ad litem for several years with Hennepin County. I've been very involved in school district stuff. When my children were in school, I was very involved in their school. I was committee chairs several different times. And more recently, I was a steering committee chair for the S281 committee in 2014, which was a 2-part referendum for our school district, which was very successful on both counts. I have also served on the board of a couple nonprofits. One was Project Million Amigos, which was a group that started from Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion, which is the school my kids went to, and worked with people setting up schools in a community in Mexico, Zihuatanejo, Mexico, and another school. They had started 5 different tiny schools. And actually, my family had the opportunity to visit Ziwa one year for spring break, and we saw the schools in action. And there was another school started in Guatemala. I was also on the board of another nonprofit, Families of SMA. My middle child died of SMA years ago, so that's been my involvement with that group. I've worked on a lot of political campaigns over the years. I've never been a candidate myself. This is a new and very exciting opportunity for me.
Yes, it would be. And then I'll have you pick one of the issues that you kind of, that I shared with you to tell people where you're coming from in regards to your city.
Well, what propelled me to run for office was the Botno line, which is the light rail that Lisa had mentioned that will run from Minneapolis out to Brooklyn Park, 13 miles, I think. It is what we need. We really need to move towards more mass transit and less reliability of people using cars. I'm not trying to get everyone out of their car, but we just need to use cars less.
Right.
And for people that don't drive or people that choose not to drive, either they don't want to or they're no longer able to or were never able to. To me, it just makes sense. The current council, we have 6 council members and a mayor. The vote on the Botno line that will follow Highway 81 is just actually the corner of Crystal. 6 out of 7 abstained from voting.
Yeah.
They just chose not to vote, and that to me is not leadership. They were elected to make decisions on behalf of the residents of Crystal, and they just didn't do that. To me, it was really a no-brainer. The money is already there, or most of it. 3/4 of it is federal money. It's earmarked for mass transit projects. If it's not used for the Botno line, it will go to another city for another mass transit. So I understand, and I think it's an important argument that it's taxpayer money, but the money's already spent. And what some people, I think, fail to realize is that our highways are heavily subsidized by tax dollars.
You're right.
So saying that we're not going to spend money on mass transit, you're already spending it. So to me, that was what propelled me into this particular race was this current council's vote on the Botno line.
And then another issue that concerns you or that you want to deal with?
Another issue, and I don't mean to pick on the current members, but another thing that very much concerned me was we have a new, and it's lovely, a new public works building in Crystal.
You do.
It came with a $14 million price tag. What the city or the council agreed to, I'm thinking it was 2012, is that they would take $10 million out of the building fund and then bond for $4 million. The council, 3 seats flipped in 2012, and that money was taken from places I'm not quite sure, and they didn't bond for any of it. That came to be an issue when a water main broke exploded in Robbinsdale, and that's happened twice, and the city of Crystal had some financial responsibility. And so they didn't have the money to pay for their portion of, because the water main came from lots of cities. It wasn't just Robbinsdale's problem, and it should not have been Robbinsdale's problem in its entirety either. And so our water bills went up because there was not money to pay for it. That's not leadership either. To me, it not bonding for the building didn't make any sense to me because, number one, money is so cheap now to borrow. They could have borrowed at 1% interest. And when you spend down the reserves so there's not any money left as a cushion to pay for things that are unexpected, it's making the current residents pay for the whole thing. Instead of, if you bond, then the money is spread out over 15 years or 20 years, so more people have a stake. And as a city resident, we all have a stake in public works. We all want our streets plowed and maintained, etc. So that was another concern I had about the current council and how things are being done in Crystal.
Okay, and then I wanted to make sure you've got plenty of time to tell the people out in Crystal why they should vote for you on November 8th.
Well, Crystal is a great community. I've lived there a long time. Like Adam, I love our park system. I like being part of a bigger park system in the Three Rivers Park. They're now building a new bike path that actually will be within a block of my house. That's really selfish because I'm a big biker. I bike a lot. I think it's a great place to live. I want to see it maintain its greatness for, not trying to sound like a cliche here,
Right.
but I have a lot to bring to Crystal. I have a lot to offer, and I would be a good council member on the city council.
Well, I want to thank all of you for sharing your time and your thoughts with our audience out there. And we'll encourage you to be sure to be gathering information about the candidates that are in your particular city, because it is important to know who you're voting for. Our show gives you one opportunity. The League of Women Voters will have a debate. There'll be another opportunity. The local Sun newspapers will have information. So do take the time to gather information about the people that are running in the 8 cities, and that would be Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Robbinsdale, Crystal, New Hope, Plymouth, and Maple Grove and Osseo. All have candidates in different areas. So we hope that you'll take your time and gather information. Do any of you have anything you'd like to share about what somebody's told you at the door that kind of stuck in your mind? I didn't ask you ahead of time. This is a surprise question.
Well, I'll start. I'm sure all of us have been door knocking a lot.
Right.
I've talked to a lot of folks. My favorite story, this happened last week. Some man opened the door, and I introduced myself, told him I was knocking on doors and meeting the people and that sort of thing. He said, "Okay, name one thing you do."
Uh-huh.
And that's feasible. He kept using the word feasible, and I thought about 30 seconds, and I said, you know, what I would do is make sure every neighborhood has one of those free little libraries. I think they're great. I even researched, they cost about $300. They're not expensive. I think it's a great thing to encourage people to read, and it's community building. And so he said, okay, that sounds feasible. I'll vote for you. That's my favorite story as of
Yeah, 'cause
late.
it's kind of fun, the different people you run across,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Did either of you think of anything? You don't have to, but.
Yeah, I had one gentleman who was adamant that we need more restaurants, which I know, and I kept saying
right,
yes.
right.
I'm tired of leaving and going to Maple Grove to get, a steak. And so he was just adamant that we didn't have what he wanted. And I said, well, I tell you what, why don't you make a list of all the restaurants you would like to see in Brooklyn Park and email it to me, and then we'll see what we can do.
Right.
So
That sounds good.
For myself, just door knocking, there's been a lot of different variety of people with opinions and thoughts of what we can continue to do to make Maple Grove great. One of the things that I really appreciate is when I am out door knocking, a lot of people have said, nobody has come by. I really do appreciate you coming by to talk to me about it. And so that lets me know that I'm doing my job, and they're getting the information they need to make educated decision.
Right. Well, we'll encourage those of you out there to tune in next week, because we will be continuing all the way through the month of September and through October in regards to bringing you city council members.